Hello, I got one of these Tramp HV video transmitters from ImmersionRC today, so I thought I'd just take a quick look at it before I put it in one of my quads. And if the weather permits, I think I might be able to do a quick range test too of my existing transmitter to compare it with this one at the same 200 milliwatts, because this one can be adjusted. There's quite a lot of cool features in this one, so that's one reason I was interested in trying it out. And the other reason is because I'm looking for something that's a little bit more reliable. These are the video transmitters that I've been using for the past year or so, maybe a little over a year. And I've been through about probably 6 or 7 of them. They just sort of seem to have a lifespan and then they fail. That's what this F is written on here for. This is one that is a fail, I think. And I also noticed it's just a little bit strange there. If you look at the 3 pins on the video, on the SMA connection, the one on the left has a little capacitor soldered between them. The one on the right doesn't. Doesn't seem to make any difference. They still seem to fail after a while. I haven't really figured out why. It does seem to be the more you crash, the more they tend to fail. And it could also be something to do with the fact that when you crash, the antenna gets a little bit damaged and it's perhaps not providing the correct impedance for the transmitter, and the transmitter gets some pulses coming back into it and it ruins it. But generally the outcome is that it's just sort of the video range deteriorates until you're down to about 80, maybe 80 meters or so, and then you can't see anything. So given that these are very, very cheap, that's the reason I've been buying them. This is not so cheap, but if it manages to last longer than 3 of these, I think it's a winning proposition. So let's just have a quick look at the page where I got this from. This is on Banggood, and I got it straight away when I saw it, and I'm kind of glad that I did, because it looks like they're out of stock now for another week or so. But like I say, they're about 3 times the cost of these ones, which are I think $12.99. But it has a lot of pretty neat features. This is the stuff you get. There were some questions about what was included too, so that's another reason that I thought I'd make this video. So here's what's included. You get the transmitter itself and this very, very useful connector with a JST for power, and then this plug here which goes to the RunCam sized plugs on the back of the camera. So it's one of those plugs there, and it's in the right layout for the RunCams too, so it's power ground video like that. And then we have on this end an SMA pigtail, and it wasn't very clear from the Banggood listing, but it's actually glued on there, and the listing here sort of gave me the impression that you could just attach a different one. So I don't want to break this glue because I think it's a good idea, so I'm kind of stuck with this SMA, and I don't have many SMA antennas, but I do have a couple, so I will be able to use it. And then you get also, this wire is all quite nice silicone wire, by the way. So this just lets you bring all of those connections with all audio and everything out to something else if you wanted some other kind of arrangement. And then over here we have this thing here which is labeled as Race Programmer, and this is one of the cool features that this video transmitter has. It's very much oriented around race events where you need to be able to change channels quickly and make sure you've got the right channel without powering up and ruining somebody else who's currently racing and stuff like that. But this being labeled programmer, I don't think this is really the right label to put on here, because you can't do any programming with this. This is just the receiver which lets the programmer, the actual programmer, which is something else, talk to the video transmitter. So you plug it into this other plug there. And then if we have a look on here, we can see a kind of a RFID looking sort of an antenna trace on the circuit board there, and also on this side. I think they're separate traces, are they? Oh no, there's a wire going through there, isn't there? So it's just in the middle there's a wire going through. So it's all one antenna, that thing. And then apparently you can make some settings for the video transmitter without actually powering up your quad properly. So presumably this antenna is able to source enough power from the transmitter to just enough to to let the settings be made in the video transmitter. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm not going to use this very much because I don't have a program, and I probably won't be buying one, because you can actually use this button on the side to change your channels manually anyway, and I'll have a look at that in the manual in a minute. So the other thing you get is a little bit of sticky stuff to stick that receiver onto your quad somewhere, and some stickers and a bit of advertising guff that you don't really need, but that's what's in the box. Here's the main page on the ImmersionRC website to show you what this is all about, and there are quite a few neat features. I'm not going to be using all of them. I just want to do a very quick video here if I can. But just to list them up there, you've got all 40 standard channels, so of course race band, and it's apparently linearly adjustable between 1 milliwatt to 600 milliwatts. It's not linearly adjustable just by using the button on the side of the transmitter unit, so you probably need the touch and race programming wand to do that, which is this thing here, and there's actually a smaller one that you can get, which is in this other thing. So the idea is you buy one of these and you'll set up what channel you want the thing to be on here, and then you just touch it close to the this little receiver on the quad, and it will set up the channels for you. But it's a little bit more than that, because like I said, it also lets you do that. It lets you do certain things without actually powering the transmitter up. This feature here, built-in thermal protection, I am quite interested in that, because I'm just sort of wondering if the reason that my other transmitters have been failing so much may be something to do with getting hot, perhaps. I don't know. Probably not, but it's nice to have a thermal protection like that. So what this does is, again, this is very much oriented around racing. So if you have the quads sitting on the starting grid, powered up, ready to go, but not flying yet, there will be very little airflow going over all the components inside. So they tend to get a bit hot while they're waiting for the starting gun to go off. So in that situation, the video transmitter will intelligently power itself down until it gets to a sustainable temperature. Pretty neat. Glitch-free frequency changes. I think this refers to the fact that when you change your frequency, other people will see a bit of a momentary glitch in their goggles while you're doing that. Supposed to be that's not going to happen. I guess that's what that means. Micro power pit mode, I think that's probably refers to 1 milliwatt transmission, so you could perhaps even have it on during a race event and not interfere with other people who are flying around using normal power of 200 milliwatts or something. Not sure what that additional channels is about, and retail regional locking, not sure what that's about either. But if we have a look at the manual, by the way, if you go all the way to the bottom of that page, you'll see this link here, user manuals, and there. So that's what I'm looking at here. And again, we have some specs listed up there in a little bit more detail, how much it weighs, the size, and all that stuff. By the way, it is actually, I was surprised to find that it's actually smaller than these other ones. Well, it's a little bit longer in that dimension, or not really if you include the SMA the brass connector on there. It's actually shorter, and it's narrower, pretty much, similar width, and it's a fair bit thinner in this dimension. It's not going to focus properly. Oh, there we go. So you can see it's about half as thick in that way as well. So it's nice and small. So this goes into a lot more detail about how the settings for using this thingy work. And what was I going to show? Oh, yeah, if you go down to about halfway down this document, you'll see the instructions for using the button on the side of the transmitter to do all the settings manually. So of course you have to power it up to do this, so it's not going to be suitable for doing this at a race event, but for me this is what I'm going to be doing here. I think this is fairly new because they're saying summer 2016, and then so distributed for events. I don't know if they gave these to people for sponsors as sponsorships or what, but it's fairly new sort of a thing. Yeah, this is the region locking that was mentioned earlier. I guess these particular frequencies are not supposed to be used in that region, perhaps. Right down the bottom we have a little bit of revision history. I'm not really sure which of these my particular unit here is, because on one side it says, ooh, it might be a little bit small, oh there we go, it says version 1.21 on the PCB, and then on here it says version 1.22, so not sure which it is. Hopefully it's this one, because this has some nicer features. So 600 milliwatt power level added in the button UI. Oh, that's one way I could check it, I suppose, because if I look down here, I played around with this menu a little bit and I set it to race band at 200 milliwatts. So I guess I could find out by going through this menu and seeing if I can set it to 600 milliwatts, whether I have the version 1.22 or version 1.21. Okay, I have the transmitter powered up now, and when you are in the standard mode, that's not using any of the touch and race wand features, you just get a solid light on the LED like that. And if you push this button for 3 seconds, it'll start going like this, so that's a long, there'll be one long and then one short. And the one long, I wonder if I can make this bigger. Here we go. So the one long is this one here, and then the one short, it indicates that I'm in channel 1. So we see we have 2 longs here and 3 longs here. So the longs just let you know which part of this menu that you're looking at. And for right now, I want to try changing the power setup. So you go 3 seconds press between each of these again. So let me do that. So now we've got 2 longs and 2 shorts. In other words, 2 longs means I'm in here, and 2 shorts means I'm at this one, which is race band. So then one more 3 second press. Oh, it's getting hot. Ooh, it's getting hot. So now we've got 3 longs and 2 shorts, because I set it to 200 milliwatts. Now, a short press lets you cycle between these, so 2 short presses should get me to 600 milliwatts. Let's see if it does it. Alright, 1 short, 2 shorts. Okay, so we've got 3 longs and 4 shorts. So that means that we are using 600 milliwatt. So this is version 1.22, I'm guessing. Well, I'm not really guessing, I'm using my brain and looking at the manual, aren't I? So long, 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 short, short. Okay, so I'll put it back to 200 milliwatts there, and if you want to, you can exit the menu with another 3 second press, but I would assume that those settings are going to be saved. Let's do another 3 second press. Man, it's hot. Ooh. Okay, so I think I'm just going to turn that off now. Yeah, but that's how you use that menu. So I'm going to put this new video transmitter on this quad, but before I do that, I thought I might compare how well the video signal is received from one of these other transmitters which is on there at the moment, and how that compares with the Tramp HV. It's not going to be a completely scientific comparison, because I'm going to have to use different video antennas, because one of them is SMA and one of them is RP SMA. That's the only reason I'm using different antennas. So the first thing I'm going to try is this one. This is an Almway antenna, and I have to mount it like that. Well, I'm just going to leave it mounted like that. When I put the Tramp on, I'm going to mount the Tramp like this, so the antenna will be slightly different. I'll bend it back so that it's a little bit closer to where this one is. Maybe I should bend this one up so that that's a little closer to where the Tramp will be. But so the antenna will be in pretty much the same place, the head of the antenna that is. And I'm also going to test one of these other antennas that I've been using for quite a while. Haven't been using them so much lately. I've been moved to these ones more often. But these are pretty good antennas too. These are, I'm not sure what the maker's name is, but they have this Moi kind of label on there. And I'm pretty sure this one has not been crashed. These lids tend to come off very easily, so even though it has a lid, you never quite know if I never quite know if I've crashed this one or not, but I think this one's okay. So I think I'll compare this first, and then I'll do the Almway one, and then I'll change it over and do the ImmersionRC one. I'm going to use raceband 1 for the channel, so that much is not going to change, and the receiver is going to be the receiver that comes with the Fat Shark Dominator SE and this SpiroNet antenna, which, oh, that's also an ImmersionRC product, huh? Yeah, it is too. Anyway, so that's what the equipment's going to be. Here's the TS5840 with the MOI antenna, and we can see here that at about 1100 meters or so it starts to lose the signal fairly quickly. So I just did a sort of a half circle to see if I could get it better in any other orientations, but I couldn't really, so I just decided to go back. And even on the way back, like right here, it sort of loses a signal a fair bit when it's facing in just the right direction. Well, just the wrong direction, isn't it? And now we're looking at the TS5840 using the Almway antenna, and we're at 1100 meters already. I'm doing the same, pretty much exactly the same spot. I'm doing a full circle this time because the signal is noticeably better. So I decided to go a bit further up to the shed there, which is just on 1300 meters, and start to get a little bit patchy, just a little bit. And I'm just sort of waggling from side to side to see how good the signal is in different orientations. I didn't want to go too far out and then find that when I turned around I'd suddenly lost vision completely because it was better when the quad was facing away from me. So this is just waggling around to make sure I have a decent view of everything in all angles. Anyway, so about 1400 meters I think, and then I started to lose it a little bit there, but then I panicked a little bit and raised the altitude quite a bit, so I gained about 20-30 meters of altitude just then during that dropout, but you probably couldn't see it. So I'm right on 1500 meters there at the end of that road, and at this altitude at least it's wasn't too bad until I got to that direction, and then I decided that was enough. The weather wasn't looking too good, so I decided I'd head for home, and unlike before, we can see that as I'm heading for home, the signal is quite good as well. It doesn't drop out at any point along the way. Well, that's actually the furthest I've flown with my mini quad so far, so I'm quite pleased that I managed to get it back both times without crashing. And from what I could tell there, I'll have a look at the Google Maps afterwards, but it seems like we could get almost to 1.3 kilometers or so with this one and still have, I wouldn't quite call it comfortable video signal, but it was adequate. So maybe 1200 meters or so was a decent number to call for this one. And then this one got us to 1.3 kilometers easy. That's where that shed is. And I went out to about 1.5 kilometers, and I could still, it was manageable. But I'd say about 1.3 kilometers or so was comfortable with this one. So that's pretty good. And if anybody is curious as to what was doing that, this is the pieces here. It's Runcam Swift connected to, well, it's powered by this thing, which is just an LC filter. It's not a voltage regulator or anything, it's just a filter. And I'm going to take that out because the Tramp HV claims that it doesn't need any of that kind of stuff. And I have this ferrite ring around there. I can't remember why I put that on there. I think I was having a bit of trouble with lines in the video or something, but I don't think it really did anything. I just left it there because it wasn't hurting anything either. And then of course we have one of these transmitters there, and it's going through one of these cables to get to the antenna. So that's what was in there. So all of that stuff's going to be replaced by just this, really. So it's going to be quite a bit simpler and lighter. And what I was mentioning just before about the powering without using a filter or anything, they actually say not to power it from a 12-volt regulator because it's designed to run directly from the LiPo and includes an advanced switching regulator and plenty of filtration to clean up the noise from the ESCs. So I'll take them at their word for that, and I'll just run it directly from the battery. So here's the Tramp HV in almost the same situations. It's about an hour and maybe 2 hours later, and it actually rained in between these trips, so the clouds are a little bit thicker, So if anything, it should be slightly worse circumstances, but you can see that it's performing pretty well, apart from that point just a moment ago where I went too low. I wasn't thinking about altitude too much while I was doing this, and I think I might have been a little bit higher in this flight than the previous one, just a little bit maybe. But even so, it's clearly giving us a better picture. So we're about the point where I had to return. This is, I think, 1,500 meters or so. And then I was easily able to go another almost 200 meters. And at that point, I decided that it was probably far enough, because I don't have any GPS capability or return to home or anything on this quad. And I didn't fancy a long walk out there. My bicycle's broken at the moment, so it would have been walk. And it was also probably going to rain again soon, so I just decided to come back. But it was enough to show that it's clearly better than the TS5840 VTXs, and sometime soon perhaps I will put it on a quad that does have GPS functionality, and we'll see just how far it can go. But anyway, that'll have to be another day. So that's all. Thanks for watching.